Hi gang, it's Jeff, Hex to Hex. Back in the wilderness, we just finished the 6 p.m. turn. What is the premise of this scenario? I'm guessing for AP Hill's 2 divisions to stunt, stop, or delay Hancock and his 2nd Corps. And who is, well, and Getty, who's up, Getty from the, I guess, what's Getty? 6th Corps, who's already there. So, right now, after 3 hours, Heth is still pretty much in the same general position. And I haven't looked to the total losses and how it applies to the victory conditions. I will probably look at that before I start this last turn. But you can see back there. All right, so the 2 sets of units here on the right, those, that, and that, those are routed. And let me tell you something. Look at that. There's a 10, there's a 9, an 8, a 9. It's amazing what happens when disordered units retreat through units that are behind them. They go running through them, and it causes panic. Good rule. Good rule. They obviously are not going to come back on in this game. And then, of course, the 2 Confederate regiments over there to the left, they're completely wiped out. That's 300 men. Six strength points between those 2, so 300 men. So, I don't know, for 4 turns, I think that's pretty drastic. But this is what, okay, so imagine Civil War battle lines and imagine, which I know that a lot of, they didn't intend to have everybody stacked right directly behind them. They had distance between them in the perfect environment. But that wasn't happening in the wilderness. This stuff was so thick, these guys couldn't see far enough ahead of them to tell. And if you were traveling to the sound of gunfire, can you imagine gunfire on a half-a-mile front, if that's what that is? And you're not going to know which point to go to. So maneuver in this is just, it's hideous. And it reflects what it must have been like. I've been down in that area. It's been a long time since I've been there, but it's pretty thick down in there when you go down towards like Chancellorsville, the wilderness, and you get west of Fredericksburg and stuff. So right now I would say that I don't know if Heth has enough. You see collapse. I think that's a Wilcox regiment that's collapsed. I could be wrong. It might be a Heth. So he's got 3 collapse back there, and he's got a couple good brigades still. 3 of his brigades are still in decent shape. I think these collapses are each from different brigades. I have to pull those and look. Let's see. Collapse and out of ammo. Yellow, red, and blue. Yeah, so he's got 1 collapse regiment from 3 of his 4 brigades. He's chewed up pretty good. I can't wait to see what the casualty numbers are going to be when I'm done with this. But he does have 1 brigade from Wilcox sitting back here. He's got Kirkland's brigade sitting in here, who, while these guys are disrupted and pushed back, they're still pretty strong. And Cook's brigade, who's, I think he's down to 2 regiments, to be honest with you. I think he only had 3 or 4, so he might be down to 3 regiments or 2, I'm not sure. They're not totally wiped yet. They still have some good firepower in them. Wilcox, his division's in great shape. He's dealing with Birney. Now, he has unfortunately got a couple of regiments up in here in some holes, but these regiments over here on the left side of the Union line, they were out of command, so they only had 1 activation. But he's pushed into Birney's division. Problem is Mott's whole division, untouched, is about to come over here on this next turn. They're going to get involved with Heth. Now, if I can figure out how to remove Getty and let Mott get in there and fight, although Mott's got quite a few units that are getting ready to resign or retire and go home. Now, here's the trick about chit draw. I had put Mott's division along the road here. They were in advance. I only drew 2 activations, so that's as far as they were able to get. And, of course, got lucky for both brigades when I rolled for, well, I can't say what, but I had to roll for something, and the roll was successful. They didn't get penalized. So they were able to hold their pattern. But that March chit, you kind of, I even had Mott's chit as the first one of the day, hoping that his second one would come up before the March order chit or activation marker came up. It didn't. Mott did move first, and then the last two chits in the cup were March and Mott, or March, Mott, and Heth. It went March, so Mott's trailing unit was still sitting right here. I mean, yeah, I could have gone around, but what would that have accomplished? I don't think they wouldn't have gotten him anywhere, because when you're on these trails, it's half of what the other terrain is, so they weren't going to make much ground. So I don't know if Barlow's whole division will even get into this fight. It's just kind of the way it happens, just the way somebody, it's like, the fog of war for chit draw. It's like somebody stuttered and didn't move soon enough, and it slowed down those, and that happened all over the place during the Civil War. So, all right. I don't know what's going to happen. I just by initial picture, you've got two divisions over here. Getty's chewed up, but I think he can still fight. But you got a whole fresh division. And I think if they can get in there, if they get a good number of activations, they're going to get in there and they will destroy Heth, I'm pretty sure. Unless this one brigade from Wilcox and the two brigades that Heth has that are still decent can get up here and stop it. It's, with shooting in the woods like this, these real thickets and getting your minuses, you get a unit disrupted. Now, whatever he's shooting, if he's disrupted, just straight out disrupted, he's going to get -1 on his die roll if most of these guys that are rifled muskets at 1 hex. And then you get disrupted and ammo depletion, which I am just terrible about rolling natural 5s, as you can see. There's a bunch of hidden ones too, but I guarantee you there are 10 ammo depletions on there right now. There's even one completely out of ammo right there. So I don't have that happen very often, so I got to read up on that. I think they do recovery the same way, and then they go to ammo depleted, and then you have to recover again to get them out of that. Yeah, I think the big fight's going to be with Mott getting through to Heth, and if Bernie could push back Wilcox over here. All right, so you're looking at an upcoming wilderness game. This is a Heth versus Getty in the wilderness. A little modified as to what the battle book rules say for this scenario, but the developers wanted me to test something. Also, we'll point out, too, that Al Smith, he said that, and I saw the rules, but I didn't look at them because I'm not big on optional rules most of the time. But they have, it's pretty cool, because in the battle book for this one, they have historical optional rule. And the rule was that Bernie, because historically Bernie didn't attack off Getty's left, Bernie was at the front of this big long column coming in. Bernie went to the right of Getty and attacked on Heth's left. I decided, well, you know what? I'm already here about where Barlow is. Let's put them in advance and let's get them right into the fight off of Heth's left. Which in my mind said, oh yeah, this is going to be a killer blow because those are two very large brigades. Well, Wilcox got here before Bernie could apply himself efficiently enough. And Wilcox's units they're pretty strong. Look at all those 7 morales they got. And they got a bunch of 8s too. They don't even have any weak cohesion regiments. They got a couple of 5s. That's 1 or 2 5s. That's about it. So I think he's going to check this unless somehow Barlow can get into action and maybe push in on that left side over there. I don't know. We'll see. Numbers-wise, the Union definitely have it. The terrain is helping the Confederates. Probably didn't need to jump forward to attack, but you always, in Civil War battles, you always had somebody would get attacked and be driven off the ground that was key ground, and they would counterattack, try to take that key ground back. And I have a tendency to try to do that. Plus, you can get some continued shocks going on if you get some good ones, and I did get one over here. And I mean, you figure Wilcox's line was here, but now some of his front units have, just because of their actions, have pushed in a hole into the Union side over here. So we'll see how that develops. All right. Again, 6 p.m. turn. We're done. We're going to move on, play that final turn, 7 p.m. probably over the next day or two. And we'll get a final report on this and what we think about it. So far, so good. All right. Talk to y'all soon.